Hey, thanks for clicking on my face. It hurt a little bit at first, but brought you here. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and I gotta get serious. This is a review of The Wonder. It's a very serious film, so we have to talk very seriously about The Wonder. It's a film, it's on Netflix. It's an Oscar contender. It tackles some very serious issues. It's got Florence Pugh in the lead role, and it takes place in Ireland. I'm a blind film critic, so I watched this with audio description, and it has some nice audio description on the film. So why haven't you heard more about The Wonder? What is this about? Why did I get serious? Well, to be totally honest, I don't know. I don't really know why. I get why the film is called The Wonder. There's a moment in the film where they say the title within the context of the film. It's a very odd film. It opens up saying, you're watching a film. There's some like narration where it like addresses very like meta and open to you that you're watching this film, and then it goes into the story. And then the way that the film ends sort of reflects the fact that this was all a movie. It's very odd. It's an interesting take on how to do that, but it was very odd. It was very odd to hear the audio description tell me the movie title, and then to hear the narration at the beginning that says, this is the story that you're about to watch, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. But then when you get to the film, what the film is Florence Pugh is playing a nurse that has been hired by, there's a sort of a conglomerate. She's been hired by like the doctor overseeing this thing, as well as the Catholic Church is interested in knowing. She's there to witness. There's a girl that is going through a fasting hunger strike, and she is refusing to eat and hasn't eaten in a long time. And they're there to witness, and she's a nurse, so she has a medical background, so she can kind of keep up on this girl Anna and her progress. And the rest of the cast is a bunch of people I didn't really know, except for, I would say, Toby Jones and Ciarán Hinds both pop up in this film, but in limited roles. But your main cast are not really names. It's mostly just Florence Pugh. The film is pretty much straightforward at times, and then it tries to be really weird, and it has this like symbolism, and she has these moments where she seems to have like the spirit moving through her, and it doesn't really explain a whole lot of why that's happening. She meets a journalist, and she strikes up this relationship. She kind of brushes him off, and then she strikes up a relationship. And I feel like every scene they're in, the relationship has advanced off screen in a way that puts them in a new place, and they end up getting closer and closer together, but we don't see the payoff. They just become more and more familiar without necessarily us watching that process, because the focus in the film is not on them. It's not on their relationship. It's on her relationship to this girl Anna, and her watching and trying to get this girl to eat. She's really worried that the girl's going to die if she doesn't eat. And she's trying to prove that maybe they're feeding her on the side. She goes through all these different things. So IMDb describes it as like a psychological thriller, and I don't really know that it is, although it has some elements in it where it just feels, they feel out of place, because tonally it doesn't ever really feel like a psychological thriller. It just is kind of a slow, I'm not going to call it a slow burn because I didn't get the payoff at the end. Slow burns pay off to something, and I didn't think this paid off to anything. I see what happens at the end, and I know where we got to, and I know how we got there, but I don't know that that was worth the journey. So I don't know this is a slow burn. I just think it's slow. I think it's just slow. It's representative of a culture and exploring sort of the religious implications of what something like this could do during a certain time period. It talks about the reasons why the girl is doing this. Both the initial reasons, and then later on you find out more in detail. And it gives Florence Pugh range as an actress. I think she was better in Don't Worry, Darling. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this film. It didn't really do anything for me. It didn't really move me one way or the other. I think it kind of was tonally shifting in ways that it didn't need to, but it just chose to. Like, it chose to kind of be all of a sudden a completely different movie, and then it just brings it right back. You know, it has these moments where you think, oh, this movie's gonna become something just totally insane by the end of the film. But it doesn't really do that. It just kind of, it gives you these weird glimpses, but then you're like, by the end of the movie, you're like, why did I get those glimpses? Why was that there? I didn't really get the progression of her relationship to Will, the character that she slowly has a romantic relationship with, I guess, off screen, and a little bit on screen. But again, it's like every time they're meeting up, it's like something else happened that we didn't get to see, and now they're closer. You know, it's just like, oh, you like him more now? Okay. Yeah, it's a very odd film. I can see why this film is not gaining traction. I'd be surprised if Netflix spent any money on this at all to launch an Oscar campaign. I don't know where it would go. I don't see it going anywhere. It's just not. It's Florence Pugh is in the Best Actress race already with Don't Worry, Darling, and she's considered a long shot for that. I would say she was even a longer shot for this. I can't imagine that many people watching The Wonder and being like, yeah, this is the performance that we want to nominate from this film. I'm sure some other people liked it. I'm sure some critics loved it. I'm sure there are some artistic people out there who just thought it was brilliant. Maybe the cinematography is off the charts. I have no idea, but from a blind perspective, I was following the story. I understood what the story was. I got the story. It's not really the way I think I would have told the story, and I think there were some choices that were made that kept me from really ever being invested in the story. And then by the time we get to the end, I don't think it ever paid off. And I hate when the ending feels like there's no payoff. When I feel like I just sat through a film and the ending is just like, oh, all right, that's an ending. Thanks. So the audio description on this film is fine. It's British audio description, so that helps with the tone of the film. Considering everybody in the cast is from the UK. Basically everybody's from Ireland, but Florence Pugh her character is actually from the UK. They imported her for this. So yeah, and I think Will's character was from the UK also. I think his actor. So there's a couple of people in here that have English accents, but most of the cast is Irish. So I don't know what else to tell you about this, except I would pass. I would take a hard pass on The Wonder. There are a lot of Oscar movies that you need to watch this year, And this is not going to be one that gets nominations. I didn't find anything astounding about it or wondrous at all. So, I have a hard time grading this one, but I'm really not going to remember this film. This one's gonna hurt. I'm gonna give The Wonder a D. I didn't really enjoy anything about it, except Florence Pugh's performance. I enjoyed this even less than Don't Worry, Darling, which I actually found by the time it clicks into the third act, you're like, oh shit, oh, this film's getting good. This, I never got that. I was always just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Why are we doing that? You're not telling me? All right, fine. It's just, it is what it is. And then the ending is so weird. It's just so unnecessarily weird. Like, why do we choose that? And I'm sorry, there's like an ending. There's an ending to the plot of the film, but then there's this little thing that they do right at the end where they're like, see what we did there? And I'm like, that's so totally unnecessary. It is so totally unnecessary. I would know we didn't need that. So, very odd. I don't hate the fact that I watch things like this, but I won't remember this a few years from now. I'll be like, what was The Wonder? So, anyway, thanks for sitting through this review. I'm sure that grade was way lower than you expected based on its Metacritic scores. I will admit, decent. So maybe you'll like it. Its IMDb score is pretty average. Audiences are not as jazzed, which makes total sense. This feels like a film that was made for really an artistic crowd. But maybe you are the kind of crowd that would like to subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. So please click subscribe. I'm like 14 away. I can totally do it. I just need you to subscribe. I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can also go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. And you can look up your movies and TV shows and see who's narrating and working on the audio description for them. That's it for me today. But until next time, I will see you on the other side.